stress to samadhi. Why we have stress and why should we approach the samadhi? We should take a route to samadhi. We should take at least the initial steps to samadhi. And what are the obstructions on the way to samadhi? These are all practical examples and practical problems that we face on the way to the samadhi. It's only for the serious thinkers and only for the serious doers, and realize the futility of all the efforts and all the doerships that we have been performing all this time in our life, and what has it brought and what it has done to us. Nothing but creating the stress. Once we step out of our life time to time and realize what we've been doing, then only we can map out the way we should be going, in what direction. So we went through several important topics that were the cause of the stress and what was the reasons that were preventing us from going into the samadhi, which is our birthright. The stress was created by, we covered a lot of topics, the attachment to the past. We were carrying the burden of the past, idea of perfection, that we spent 2 or 3 lectures on the idea of perfection, which is a psychosis we've been carrying around, that we want to be perfect. Another topic we discussed was the greed, how the greed makes us go around, working in the society to achieve more and more, and for what. So we discussed all these things past several months. So another topic we're starting at this point is the slavery of our mind. Our mind has become a slave, and the only ultimate freedom in this world is the samadhi. And we don't realize it, because the thing is, the slavery has been defined in so many different ways. Our concept of slavery has evolved over the period of times. Hundreds of years back, the acceptance of the kingship and the imperialism was a norm. A lot of states basically were controlled by the kings. Kings were considered superior to everybody, and almost were given the statehood of a godhood, and the king cannot do wrong. So all these things we had accepted, and people who were living in those days and ages, it was not out of ordinary to believe everything the king says, do everything that the king says, live, breathe, and die for a king, and was accepted normal. As the times turned, the mind started becoming more and more aware, more and more awake, and started realizing the king is also just another human being, and the democracy started spreading. And now we have a different picture of our mental state, that we are living in a state where every individual has a freedom to choose. So there is nothing wrong with that. It's the evolution, and our children are going to be even more evolved than what we are right now, because at this point the idea of kingship will be ridiculed by everybody. So now the monarchy and imperialism has died out, and little by little we are going in that direction. But the spirituality always has been and always will be in the forefront of everything, because if you remember, I always talk about J. Krishnamurti. He says freedom to choose is a great freedom to have, but freedom from your choices is the ultimate freedom. And that concept is very subtle, and it's something that may be difficult to comprehend, because the freedom that we call freedom right now is only a relative freedom. We have cut down our ties with the British Empire, and the America became free. But right now, we're still living the life of slavery. Whether we like it or not, that's the truth. Whether we know it or not, it's the truth. The slavery is basically, what is slavery? Where somebody else sets the rules and you follow the rules without your own input in that. And that's exactly what we're doing. We are living in a society. We wake up in the morning till we go to bed at night. Every single moment is spent in the moment of slavery. Password, please.
12 times.
So, if you really think about it, there are rules and there are regulations we have to follow. You wake up in the morning. If you are a kid living with your parents, you have to follow the rules set by dad. Dad says wake up this time. You dress up at certain time. This is the time you have to go to school. You come home, you better be home by certain time. if you grow up and then living the house, going to the school, the rules are set by the school. School says that this time you have to make it, this time the period ends, and then this time you change the classes. Teacher says this, teacher says that. You come home, the rules again are imposed upon you. So all these rules are set by different organizations, and you all have to follow. There are no ifs, buts, no questions asked, you just have to do it. The society says, the government says that drive on the right side of the road. The father says that you do this, mother says you do this. Where are we standing? The rules which are set by different organizations may have different implications. And there is nothing wrong with the rules. Rules keep the society organized. And there are certain organizations, if you all of a sudden, if you want to break your rules, say I want to express my freedom, I want to drive on the left side of the road, you may have nothing but trouble. So we follow the rules, and there is nothing wrong with that either. But the spirituality says that rules are rules. Rules are set by the external organizations. But what about you? Where do you stand? And that's when you step back, and then you start analyzing yourself. Where do I stand? Religion says don't steal, don't lie, don't kill, don't do this, don't do that. But we somehow have never come out of that mentality of slavery. We are so easy to accept whatever somebody says, and we confine with the rules, and gives us the sense of satisfaction of belonging somewhere, and that rebellious mind never wakes up. As soon as I say I am a Jain, fine. You do this, this and this, it defines you as a Jain, and then you are totally in accordance, you're synchronized with all the people who believe the same philosophy, and you have a comfort that you're doing what everybody else is doing. You never question what it means to be a Jain. You never go beyond the concept and definition of a Jain. There are certain rules, like we say, Buddhism has 33,000 rules. If you follow all those rules, I don't even know whether you can even remember all those rules till you die. And all your life basically goes in following each and every single rule. Because once you get these rules, the concept of the rules, you follow them, you try to follow them. You never ask whether is it your internal spirit or the soul agreeing with those rules or not. But there are so millions of rules given to you, you never have a chance.
Everybody else follows.
Everybody else follow, and the crowd mentality goes with it all the time. Now, the thing is that if I have certain rules and I want to express my rules, I may have to struggle with you. I may want to say that I'm better than you, supposing. Then I have to prove myself better than you. There is a lot of struggle involved. If I say I'm richer than you, then the ego is interacting with so many other people's ego. Then I have nothing but struggle and stress. Ultimately, I may be able to prove myself, I may not. That's why we argue. A lot of times we argument. But when we say we are Jains, the ego is allowed to express itself without having any interaction as long as you hang out with the Jains. If I say India is the best country in the world, as long as I say that in India, I have no problem. So it really, basically, ego wants to stay alive no matter what. So it's looking for an environment where ego has a freedom. And that so-called freedom is not really a freedom. You still imposed the rules which were set by somebody else's because you were born in a Jain family or a Hindu family or a Christian family. As long as you're in a Muslim family, you say those statements within that family, you're fine. So in a way, you have a freedom, but at the same time, you are really not free. What is the difference between now and say you were living in a kingdom of controlled by a Russian Tsar, and you say you are a Russian? Fine, you are enjoying that freedom as long as you're within the boundary of Russia. So what has changed? Nothing. A religion or so-called religion has just given you a room to breathe. So to give you a relative sense of freedom. But is that a freedom? Those questions will never be asked by anyone till they die, until they go into the soul searching, until they dwell and jump and have a deep inquiry within yourself. And the meditation is the process of going within. When you close your eye and you ask yourself, are you a Jain? Just because you were born in a Jain. Or are you just following the rules and regulations set by our external? Do you feel Jain? Are you feeling even the question of non-violence? Okay, those are the main principle of Jainism. But then which religions tells you to kill? Non-violence basically is in almost every religion. If you really analyze it in 100% perfect way. So, does that necessarily make you a Jain? If you are a soul, infinite soul, and when you realize your own structure, which is formless, where is the room for violence? Which religion tells you to steal? No religion tells you to steal. Which religion tells you to lie? No religion tells you to lie. If it does, it's not a religion. But are you not stealing because the religion tells you not to steal? Or are you going within, you realizing your infinite nature, the nature of your own soul, where you are total at peace, and there is no reason to steal, because whatever you steal will be taken away, because whatever you will get will be given to you in a material form. What matter can you take with you when you die? When you realize your infinite, omnipotent, omnipresent soul, and that's what you are, why would you want to do steal anyway? What is the purpose? So when you go within, non-stealing becomes your own rule. And that's what spirituality is about. It's not about breaking the rules. Nobody's saying that go and break the rules. Go drive on this side, start stealing. Oh, what's the big deal? What is it? You're not going to gain anything, you're not going to lose anything. What's the big deal whether you steal or not? Killing is no big deal. There is no killing. There is no death. Gita says there is reborn all the time. Material never dies. What's the problem in killing? I can kill. Fine, you can do it. But is that what you want to do? If you go within, there is no reason to kill. At that level, you appreciate everybody's freedom. You appreciate the connection that you have with all the other souls. Why would you want to kill? But non-killing becomes your nature. So that's the ultimate goal of the spirituality, is to make you realize what they call Sahaj Samadhi. Sahaj Samadhi is freedom from all the slaveries of thoughts. Every time you think, ask yourself, is the thought coming from your ultimate true soul, or is it coming from because somebody told you to think that way? And that's where the subtle freedom, the approach to the freedom, the road to the freedom starts. So right now we're living in the world of slavery, and we have, until you realize that you're living in a life of a slavery, you're not going to be ready to break those bonds. So whenever you take any concept, and that concept binds you, and your choices, your thoughts and your actions and ultimate results of those actions are all binding. And that's what Jainism says. All karmas are binding, because karmas are defined by your thoughts, your beliefs. When you raise yourself above those beliefs and above your thoughts, your actions become pure. Because now I'm not bound by what I am, by my birth, what my friends told me, what this told me, what this organization told me. You will do all these things, but you will be doing with a different outlook. Like we say in SSY, these are the rules. These rules are there. Right now, they are the rules of the organization. But they are on the table. This is a contract you sign. There is no signature in SSY. Signature is at the mind level. What is your signature? You affirm that now these are my rules. And you accept them. You put them. Now you are stirring up your Atma. Now you're realizing that, is that what I want to do? Until you are ready to do that, you cannot move forward. That's the first step we offer in SSY. These are the rules. You analyze it, you think about it, and if you really are okay at your soul level, now all that contract, so-called contract, is gone. Now you have to follow your own rules. So you are acting spontaneously. That spontaneity is gone. Everybody behaves Everybody interacts with each other with their own set of rules. The people from the kingdom of Russia are fighting with people from kingdom of India or whatever. The fights are going on. Everybody had their concept that I'm a Lebanese, I'm this, I'm that. All those major wars are being fought just because of that. They are not fighting for freedom. They themselves are slaves to think that that's what they are. So all these thoughts and concepts have a major significance in the world peace. Forget about world peace, house peace. Everybody, from the root level all the way to the tree top level, there is a fight going on. And all these fights are totally unnecessary because we think this is what we are. And at that thought level, we are suffering. So whenever you practice meditation and when you realize that this is your ultimate platform, from that platform, what is the point in having all these thoughts? What do they do for you? When you think, that's what you become. Are your thoughts coming from somewhere else's that has implemented on your mind? Why do you want it anyway? So that's why you develop a state of nirvichar. Nirvichar is a state of samadhi. Thoughtlessness is a state of samadhi. And even at that level, you exist. Not only you exist, you enjoy. You are in a state of bliss. And still, you're eating, you're breathing. You practice that and you put it in your daily life. As long as somebody comes and tells you, oh, such and such guy is Muslim. Now, are you accepting that at a face value? Or are you accepting with all the baggage that you had thought that Muslims are like this? The previous Muslim guy you might have thought, oh, rob the bank or kill certain people and certain Hindus, this and that. Now, are you holding on to your past memory and evaluating this guy who is nothing but a pure form of Muhammad, who is practicing his ultimate Muslimhood? Are you ready to accept that? Or are you carrying your burdens? Burden from your past is again thoughts. Those are beliefs. So people who are slaves are using the past and they're slaves to their own beliefs. They are not free to accept every Muslim at their face value. Until you do that, you're not free. People who are in tune and synchronized with Atma at the soul level, they will have a memory. It's not that they're going to forget where they live. They're not going to forget where they left their car keys. But their present action will not be decided by their past baggage of the memories. They are living moment to the moment to the moment. Because that's what Atma is about. Present, living in the present, power of now is nothing but expression of consciousness. The only time you can do that, where you can be free from the burden of the past and the beliefs and the thoughts. So right now our actions are polluted. That's why we have the life of a slavery. That's what I mean by the life of slavery. Right? So a lot of times we tend to grab the people who have achieved something in their lives. And then we can say, okay, we'll follow those rules. We tend to believe politicians. Politicians have tremendous effect on the thinking of the people. That's why the state of the state addresses are there to move the mass media. The king speaks one word and the whole country is ready to fight. So depends upon what level these expressions of thoughts are made, and depends upon how receptive you are at that what level. When Nazi was in a power, your next door Jewish neighbor disappears. You won't question, because Hitler says all the Jews are bad. Now, what about your inside souls? If they have millions of, I think we should do something for that.
I got it.
He wants to listen to you, man.
Therefore,
Satsangi je vichar.
Right.
here.
He's getting.
Here,
You got the napkin?
here.
That's okay. Let's not that interrupt. He will take care of that.
Yeah.
So the thing is that mass media when are hypnotized by the thoughts of somebody who is more powerful than you, have a powerful speech, powerful expression, powerful beliefs, but the only time you will be able to be beyond that if you know yourself. The knowledge of the self is extremely important, and that knowledge can be obtained only by you. No one else can do it for you. So little bit of soul searching. Why little bit? 100% soul searching, being in meditation all the time gives you that power, gives you that freedom not to be affected by the mass media or politicians or whatever. But sometimes we change our source of information or source of beliefs or source of slavery. Then we go after Krishna, Buddha. He says, well, these people are Mahavir. These people have achieved something, so they must be correct. And they could be, but they may be not. Were you ever in touch with Mahavir himself? No. Lot of knowledge that was given by Mahavir ultimately had to be interpreted by so many people, and ultimately it filters down to you. Who knows, lot of changes could have taken place, but we take it as a face value. So such and such yogi said that you write 1 million times Ram in your life and your place is secured in heaven. We believe that. That's the slavery. So again, we keep on going the route of slavery because that's what we're doing. We have not come out of the slavery. Imperialism of one kind or the other has never died. So soul stirring has to be done. That's the only way we can achieve freedom and we can be free. But we can practice our daily life based on the values set by these religions, for example. But that's not the same. It's like giving someone flowers purchased at the market, grown by somebody else, and they appreciate, oh yeah, your flowers are pretty. But they are not my flowers. My hard work never went into it. I did not plant that flower. I did not grow that flower. I did not fertilize that flower. When the sun came, I did not protect that bush of the rose. How much work, how much hard work went behind growing one flower, and I give it to you. I put everything into it. My total involvement in that flower, how much importance of that flower, may not be that pretty, is there compared to grown by somebody else. So I may be nice to you just because Jainism tells me. I may tell you that don't do this and don't do that. And you say, oh yeah, that seems like a good concept. But was that a concept given to you because I believe in it? Or I just say it because it was borrowed from scriptures? So whatever I say, whatever I do, has to have inner strength of consciousness. If it is not there, it's not worth it. That's Popotya Jnana, as Mehul Bhai says. And that's what it is. It is what it is. Until you believe in it, it's not yours. So the only way it becomes yours, exactly. The only way it becomes yours, Shravan, Manan and Achran. When you listen, that's not just listening, any senses, whether you see or watch video, whatever, that's feeding through your senses into your mind. But then the mind has to do, that's the main stop, is you have to brood. You brood and brood and brood, and then you analyze, and then you say, okay, it does make sense. And then Achran will be automatic. So all that process has to happen. So follow the instructions, but rise above it. Nobody says, don't drive on the right side of the road. Don't, stop, believing that you don't have to steal, no steal. All those things you do. But now, the question is at what level you follow the instructions. Now, you can follow the instructions. A buffalo follow the instructions. Farmer tells the buffalo that you have to do this, you have to plow the fields, you have to carry the load, this and that.